When Menelaus, beloved of Ares, saw him stride out from the host, he felt as the hungry lion does that finds the whole carcass of a wild goat or an antlered stag, and tears it greedily, though nimble hounds and powerful huntsmen plague him. Such was his pleasure when he saw godlike Paris, and primed for revenge on one who had wronged him, he leapt down from his chariot in full armour. In this world of heroes, attention is focused on one-on-one combat, very different from the emphasis on hoplite warfare of Greece in the 5th century. Combatants would generally drive into battle on the chariot and dismount to fight hand-to-hand with a notable opponent they had picked out. Each would have a full set of armour, comprising crested helmet, breastplate, shield, greaves for protection of their shins, sword and spear. And Paris is quite unusual in carrying a bow. Now, if we look at this lines 21 to 37, as we will be, what follows is a very carefully opposed pair of descriptions of Menelaus, whose name means strength of the people, and Paris, introduced in each case by the formula phrase ton de hos un enoesen, and followed by an extended simile to illustrate the hero's particular emotions and reactions. The Menelaus Passage consists of 9 verses, the balancing Paris one of 8, and they are followed by an exchange between Hector and Paris of equally symmetrical construction. Now, Menelaus can hardly fail to see Paris as he comes with long strides in front of the throng. That is macrobibas as thorn, and it's used 6 times elsewhere in the Iliad to indicate powerful movement, and is echoed by upsibibenta, which implies an excess of confidence, and it's used in Book 13. So let's have a look at sentence 21, and you can see it starts off with the word ton. Ton being short here for auton, him. And we have this verb, don't we? And that comes from enoesen, comes from noeo, which means I notice, and it's accompanied with a participle. So he notices something, which is probably about to happen in the second line here. And then we've got a metonym, something that's quite interesting. Just like names like Amadeus means loved by God, and Amanda, worthy of being loved, etc. Miranda, worthy of being admired, etc., etc. Here we have a name, Ariephilos. We've got Ares, Are, Iphilos, okay? Loved by Ares or loving Ares. And if that's the case, then it's like loving war, isn't it? Okay, so let's have a go now at making up a rough translation. So we want a subject, don't we? And that is going to be the Are Iphilos Menelaos. So that means war-loving Menelaus noticed him then. Okay? So that's a rough translation. I'll put up a nice one as we go along. So the next time we get a sort of an equivalent to macrobibas, he's taking these long strides, is upsi bibenta, and that's I thought it was in Book 13. It's verse 371. If you want to make some kind of comparison there, so it's no surprise that Menelaus notices Paris because he's acting the fool in front of his own troops, and he's taking these massive long steps to show off a little bit. Right, so let's have a look at the words. We've got this erchomenon, which we know is a middle participle, and that's the participle we needed to go with the noeo in the first line, 21st line. So noticing him going or coming. Then we have this interesting preposition. It's proparoithen, and it takes the genitive, and it means out in front of. The word homilos, which is a masculine, homilos, meaning a throng or a crowd. And then we have what I was talking about earlier, this macrobibanta. Macros obviously being long here. It's an adverb. And how do I know that's an adverb? It's neuter plural. And bibao, a stride. So literally taking long strides. Right, so let's have a go at making a translation up for that. War-loving Menelaus noticed him then as he was coming out in front of the throng, taking long steps. So now we're going to look at this lion simile that's about to happen. Menelaus is obviously immediately delighted on seeing Paris walk out, and he's compared to a lion being delighted when he comes on a dead stag, or a wild goat when he's hungry. And of course the lion devours it avidly, malagarte katestiai, even if the hunters with their hounds try to drive him off. And this is the added detail that goes beyond the stated point of comparison. Here, that's Menelaus' delight, and is typical of the Homeric simile. Sometimes, however, the addition creates a resonance with the main situation, and that may be the case here too, because Menelaus is delighted is associated with determination to take his revenge, of course, and the simile action is set out with greater rhetoric than precision. Presumably the hunters have killed the dead animal, and the lion's determination is justified by his hunger, painaun, but one might have expected him to be able to make a kill in this hunting country by himself. And this is something that Aristarchus is an ancient Greek commentator on Homer. He said that when Homer uses the word soma, body, it seems to apply only to dead bodies, and lions generally do not eat corpses or carrion. They might eat an animal just killed by someone else, but in any case, in other lion similes, and like in Book 11 and Book 13, we get the same point. Now, maybe we're being a bit too critical. Lions were no doubt known in northern Greece, Thrace, and in parts of Asia Minor, but maybe Homer or the people that created this poem were not so au fait with the habits of lions, and no doubt what lions did was prone to distortion by hearsay and imagination. Right, so let's have a little look at the 23rd line. And you've got this word hoste, just as, so yet another way of introducing a simile. Leontos is obviously the lion, it's masculine. And echare, from chairomai means to rejoice. You might compare that to the modern day Eucharist, the Eucharist prayer. And it's another, in this particular case, echare is an aorist, it's a nomic aorist. Right, and then we've got this temesis happening again. We've got epi, and then ... and then we've got the rest of the verb, curo. So we might want to say epicuro plus a dative in Attic Greek, but we've got epicuro, and it means to chance upon or encounter. So let's go for a rough translation, 23. So just as, now leon is in the nominative, isn't it? As a lion, echare rejoices. Okay. And now epikursas, we've said is also a verb, and that's as it chances upon a great carcass. Okay, as it chances upon a great carcass, and megalo somati being in the dative because that's what the verb takes. So let's have a look at line 24 now, and we've got the word elephos or elephos, which is a fawn, and keraos, keraon, is with antlers or horned antlers, I'd imagine here. Agrios, agrion is an adjective meaning wild, and we've got this word igos, which is a goat. Okay, So we've got lots of animals there. Let's see if we can make sense of line 24. So the nominative is huron, which, as you probably know, is finding, okay, or happening upon, okay. Either a elephon, keraon, a horned or an antlered fawn, or agrion aiga, or a wild goat. Okay, so the joy, this is how Menelaus is so happy. It's just like a lion coming across a freshly killed corpse of a fawn or a goat ready to be eaten. Right, so let's get on with line 25. And we start off with that verb you can see there, painao, which means to be hungry. So it's a hungry lion. Okay. Mala comes from, ultimately, I suppose it comes from malista, meaning very or eagerly. Catestio from estio, I devour, rather than perhaps it's wolf down, rather than just eat. Catestio, devour. And this introduction of I pair plus a subjunctive. Now, we don't get the subjunctive on this particular line, it comes next. But even if, that's how I translate I pair, even if. I'll try and explain what the even if is for, even though we're going to get it in line 26. Right, so let's have a go at a translation, shall we? So, painon is in the nominative, so being hungry. Okay, and he devours or wolfs down eagerly. Okay, even if he is being, and then we're not sure exactly what's going to happen next. Okay, but I suspect it's the bit where he's harried by hunters and their dogs. So that's the idea. Even if it's so, the Menelaus is so hungry, just like such a hungry lion, that he doesn't really care about the dogs or the hyenas or the hunters or whatever it is bothering him. He just wants to devour it. That's how much he wants to get into a fight with Paris. Okay, so we're on to line 26 now, and that starts off with this verb in the verb which is suamai, which is to be harried or chased or pursued. And we've got a participle here, I think, haven't we? A verb in the subjunctive, subjunctive. That's going with the I pair, isn't it? So even if the lion is being harried or chased or pursued, and then we've got this phrase which is all in the nominative, interestingly, tacheyes, te and te. We've got this te and te, which we had before, which is like te kai, both and kunes comes from the word kunos, which is a dog. Strangely enough, the word cynical comes into English from the word dog, which is a bit odd because dogs don't seem to be a very cynical animal to me. But dog, kunos, genitive. Here we've got kunes, hunting dogs. Thaleroi, strong. Thaleros, thaleron is an adjective meaning strong or vigorous. And this last word is very interesting, aizeos. And we would probably write that in Attic Greek as neanias, a young man. So here we have aizeos. Right, so let's have a go at putting that all together. So just adding that little phrase from line 25, even if he were being pursued or harried by valiant dogs and young men. Tacheyes, I didn't translate that, did I? It must come from pursued swiftly, something like that. Tacheos swiftly, I'd imagine. So, suontai tachees te kunes taleroi ta aizeoi. So this aizeoi neanias, neaniai in this case. Alright, so let's have a go at a rough translation then. So, even if being pursued swiftly by both vigorous, strong dogs and huntsmen or young men. Okay, so the next line, 27, is basically an end to this simile for Menelaus as the lion who delights on finding a ginormous dinner for free. Now so this line basically just says that's it for Menelaus. Now we're going to talk about Alexander, really. So the only word in this we haven't had, we have had it, but it's not in this form, is Theoides. Now we know we've been trying to say as godlike or extraordinarily handsome, beautiful, godlike. But the reason I'm mentioning it is because we got it here in its accusative singular. It's in its uncontracted form, whereas the last time we had it, it was in its contracted form. So that's probably to do with meter, I suspect. So we can just jump in and have a go at translating this. So Hos, thus Menelaus, who's in the nominative, rejoiced, and we have to understand upon seeing godlike Alexander. Okay. Right, so 27-28, as we said, is a transition from Menelaus to Alexander. And Homer's tableau of the two contrasting enemies is made even sharper by the juxtaposition of their names in line 27. And it renders the second half of the verse all the more striking. He believed he would be able to take vengeance on the transgressor, the man who had stolen his wife. Fato, in context like this, literally means said, of course, said to himself, though, and it often means little more than thought. So let's have a look at the words in 28, and we've got this word at the beginning, ophthalmos, which I'm sure you know means an eye. Ophthalmos. Idon. That's coming from the verb horao. Horao. Okay. Now we'd probably know it as idon, wouldn't we? But it's idon from horao. Fato just said it's really to think here. So it's efato comes from fami, the verb fami, think or say. Taisomai is the future of tinomai, and that means to be avenged on. And alaites is an offender, a culprit, a scoundrel, or a scallywag. In this case, of course, Paris, because he's the one that abducted Menelaus' wife while a guest in his own home. Shocking. Alright, so let's have a little look at this. See, we've got the rough translation, 28. So, ophthalmoisin idon, fato gar taisestai alaiten. Okay, so if we include perhaps the previous line, it might make a little bit more sense. So in this way, Menelaus rejoiced upon seeing with his eyes, with his own eyes, Alexander, the godlike Alexander, and he said to himself that he might be avenged on this offender, this scoundrel. Okay. So line 29. The one that starts Altika. What have we got here? So Altika means immediately, and this ochia is a neuter plural. Ta ochia is a chariot. So you can see he's getting out of his chariot, it looks like. Sun with the dative means with. And tuchea ta, his armour. Ta tuchea is also neuter plural. This alomai verb that we have, alomai, well, we can see it as alto. It's an aorist of alomai, and it means to leap, And chamaze means to the ground. This ze, or like ste, is a suffix de indicates motion towards. So this is ze ending on chamaze, to the ground. That motion towards comes from the ze at the end. Okay, so let's have a go at translating 29. So immediately, let's go for the verb, alto. He leapt from his chariot, ex ocheon, onto the ground, chamaze, sun tuchesin, with his armour, in his armour, full armour. Okay, so I'll put up the nice translation, and there we have it, up to 29. And now it's us. We're going to look after this to a description of Alexander's reaction.